Hello, my name is Art, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the DREAM Act. So you have this young, talented girl who graduated from high school within the top 15% of her class. She, with a GPA of 3.75, she went to college, took a lot of English courses, and finally graduated from communication and design. Her dream either to become a film director or a college professor. But at times she feels like giving up. Why? Just because she's undocumented. Many Americans are aware of the DREAM Act, but perhaps are misinformed or misunderstand the DREAM Act. A 2010 study done by the UCLA North American Integration and Development Center estimated that the total earnings of DREAM Act beneficiaries throughout their work lives would be between 1.4 and $3.6 trillion to the United States. And also a 2008 study by the Arizona State University showed that an individual with a bachelor's degree will earn approximately $750,000 more throughout their lifetimes than an individual with only a high school diploma. And not only that, but a study done by the College Board also showed that throughout the average college life of a college graduate will earn approximately in excess of 60% more than a high school graduate. And then workers with advanced degrees will earn 2 to 3 times as much as a college graduate. So there are many reasons in this speech why the government should pass the DREAM Act. There are 3 main reasons why the DREAM Act should be passed. First, I will argue how denying access to 2.1 million young adults and undocumented students to higher education could possibly hurt the U.S. And second, I will argue how the DREAM Act will give the DREAM Act beneficiaries, giving them access to higher education will give them opportunities to higher education and better jobs, which in return means higher taxable income. And finally, I will argue how taxpayers' money will not be going to waste by funding higher education to undocumented students. So first, if we deny the DREAM Act, the U.S. could potentially be hurt in the future by not receiving many of the benefits that the DREAM Act has to offer. One of the benefits the U.S. will lose out on will be becoming a more competitive country. By passing the DREAM Act, it will allow our country to become more competitive in our global economy. According to Secretary of Education Arlene Duncan once stated that, and I quote, "Passing the DREAM Act will allow these young adults to live up to their full potential and contribute to our economic growth of our country." And in particular, the DREAM Act will play a major role in our country's efforts to have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world by 2020, which is something vital for America to remain competitive in today's global economy. And another benefit the U.S. will lose out by denying the DREAM Act would be reducing dropout rates. By passing the DREAM Act, it will likely reduce dropout rates from undocumented students and by creating a strong incentive for them to remain in school until graduation. Currently, most undocumented students are forced to work illegally today in our cash economy as domestic servants, day laborers, sweatshop factory workers, and by passing the DREAM Act, it will allow them to lawfully become eligible to work in the U.S. and fill up positions like nurses, teachers, service employees, positions that have long been in demand in the United States. And yet another benefit the U.S. will lose out by denying the DREAM Act would be keeping talented students in the United States. Passing the DREAM Act will help us keep talented students in the United States by giving the opportunity to have access to higher education. and letting DREAM Act students' talent go to waste could impose economic and emotional costs not only to the students but to the U.S. society as a whole. And passing the DREAM Act will also stop brain drain from happening to our country by allowing us to keep our talented students in our country. And next, besides all these benefits that we will lose by denying the DREAM Act, there are many more benefits that we have to gain by passing the DREAM Act. One of the benefits that we will gain from passing the DREAM Act would be allowing legalized immigrants to invest in our economy. Dr. Raul Nihosha from UCLA has studied the impact of legalization in our country and found long-term improvements from previous undocumented immigrants by giving access to undocumented students to higher education, giving the opportunity to have a better job and higher paying wages. It will allow them to gain higher paying jobs, which will allow us to tax higher incomes and bring more revenue into the United States. And another benefit that we will gain from passing the DREAM Act would be helping our military. Passing the DREAM Act will contribute to our nation's efforts to our efforts to recruit and prepare our military. By passing the DREAM Act, the Secretary of Defense once stated that the DREAM Act represents an opportunity for us to expand our recruiting pool and help our military in its efforts of recruiting and to help the military recruiting efforts. And lastly, I will argue how passing the DREAM Act taxpayers' money will not be going to waste. By passing the DREAM Act, taxpayers will actually save money, because passing the DREAM Act will an RNAD study done in 1999 showed that increasing Hispanics' graduation rates to that of non-Hispanics whites will increase spending in public education by 10% nationwide, and by 10% by nationwide, but the cost is more than just an opposite, by also saving on public health and benefits, by saving on public health and benefits and increasing our revenues of the United States. And the last reason why taxpayers' money will not be going to waste is because the DREAM Act will help our communities earn higher revenue. By giving the opportunity for undocumented students to have higher education, will allow them will go far in inspiring our young students, documented or undocumented, to strive for a college education, which will boost the number of high-skilled Americans, and as they take their place in the workplace as hard-working, tax-paying Americans. So, as you can see, by passing the DREAM Act, not only will it help undocumented students, but it will help the U.S. as a whole by increasing our revenue and becoming a more competitive country in our global economy. So in this speech, I'll argue why we should pass the DREAM Act by addressing three of the main reasons. One, which is denying the DREAM Act could possibly hurt the U.S. Second, how passing the DREAM Act will bring many benefits to our U.S. and the economy. And third, how taxpayers' money will not be going to waste, but will be put into use on helping our country become a better place. And now I hope you guys will agree with me that we should pass the DREAM Act. Thank you.